Red vs. Blue Season 17 Episode 9 Succession has officially released, so let me break it down for you. So the episode starts off on the day the Reds and Blues lose on Chorus, and as you'd expect, Tucker must allow himself and his friends to lose once more, which he does. Surprisingly though, the scene doesn't end there as we travel even further in time within Chorus to a moment where Felix and Tucker are talking to each other. Tucker's reflecting that he had to let it happen, where Genkins appears once more. Every suit has an AI module, and I guess Genkins can hop into those as well. Genkins is trying to be the devil on Tucker's shoulder, trying to convince him to kill Felix before he dies, thus creating a paradox. He attempts to appease to the darker side of Tucker, but it's ultimately a failure. He reflects on his time as a leader, what it meant to him, and he has faith in Donut because he's the one now leading the operation, which of course leads Genkins to leave. What I really liked about this sequence with Tucker is that it spent time with it. We already know the characters are meant to relive moments exactly how they happen, and this isn't the first time we're seeing a character do that. It's been happening in montages and very quick scenes. But here we spend what seems like a questionable amount of time with Tucker. We know he doesn't like it here. We know he doesn't like Felix. So when I was watching, I had the thought of, why is so much time being dedicated to something we already know the events of? Sure, he could have created a paradox, but even still. However, something the season has done incredibly well is its balance between comedy and drama. I've taken note of it before in the earlier episodes, yet I still can't recognize when it's happening, which is a good thing. As we saw it in last episode, the comedy goes very fast even with the fixing time travel events. But if a scene ends up playing longer and slower, there is going to be a payoff with what is usually a character moment. And that's exactly what happened here. I will admit the purpose of it did feel like it was to address the criticism of his character last season. People didn't like how he went from a leader on Chorus to a selfish dick only concerned with himself. Whether it was on purpose or by accident, it was not received well. So not only does this seek to acknowledge it, but it even goes one step further by having Tucker, for a lack of a better terms, pass the torch to Donut. Everyone knows Church was the leader. He was the driving force which pushed the characters. Then came Wash and Carolina. But when they were gone, it was Tucker's turn to step up. Tucker had his time in the spotlight, he learned a lot, he grew from it. But now, it's someone else's turn to lead. He recognizes this and he places faith and trust into Donut and his plan, and later goes on to express this. It's a nice character moment because it's not for Donut. There's 3 episodes left. We as the audience have known Donut is the leader of the season. But this scene isn't meant to say Donut is the leader, it's for Tucker to recognize what he's been through and support someone who's trying to do the same. And it's for that reason that it was a very nice scene. Anyway, so the characters meet back up at the designated rendezvous point. Sarge is off on his own adventure, accidentally creating paradoxes. Doesn't seem entirely relevant, although that doesn't mean it isn't. As stated before, Tucker compliments Donut, assuring him that he is doing a good job, and Donut goes off to confront Genkins. His plan seems to try and turn the two against each other, get Genkins to not trust Krovos, thus splitting up their alliance. And surprisingly, it works. Genkins travels back to Krovos where he pitches a new plan. Krovos lends him her powers and he will in turn allow her to absorb the Reds and Blues. I don't know, the whole pitch seemed kinda questionable at best if you ask me. But despite its sketchiness and Genkins being who he is, it all works. Krovos gives over her powers and a new and improved Genkins travels in time to torment and inevitably kill our characters. So now the rules have changed, kind of. I mean, he still can't harm them in any way, technically speaking, but he can manipulate them. I mean, he stopped time, but he can't inflict harm. Alright, the rules are back out the window. First things first, Krovos accepting Genkins' plan seemed a bit convenient for the plot. I don't believe Krovos is that stupid to place that much trust into Genkins, especially when he holds all the cards. It should be interesting to see if that was the end of Krovos. Clearly, she's a lot weaker than she used to be, and there's only 3 episodes left. Genkins really does seem like the final boss now. I doubt the Reds and Blues will try and team up with her. It is a possibility. Maybe the Reds and Blues are helpless to Genkins' powers, but Krovos might be able to combat him. But that's a risky gamble at best. I think Krovos lost all of her power here and she's just gonna rot there powerless forever. Unless she can die of old age now. Anyway, the final bit of the episode I had yet to mention is Wash and Carolina. So in this scene, Wash takes Carolina to a remote area where he says his goodbye. The final and most important paradox to fix is the one that started it all. So Wash intends on getting shot once more and returning to the state he was after. This scene is incredibly emotional. I think these two have always been the most consistent and brought out the most emotion when it comes to this arc. Even last season, with all of its flaws, these two were not one of them. The chemistry, the story, what they've been through, it's all something you feel. I might be wrong, and absolutely correct me if I'm mistaken, but was this the first time any character said, "I love you"? Church did kind of utter it in season 9, but it wasn't the point of his message.
Are you gonna say I love you? No, Tex. No. I'm not gonna say I love you. I'm gonna say I forget you.
I don't have much to say about this scene. It was a very well done scene. Even the environment managed to be incredibly beautiful and capture the moment so well, despite likely having used it before. I can't really tell the difference between the Halo 5 sets. The voice acting continues to push Jen and Shannon to new limits these characters rarely, if ever, express. This was a very well done scene, and it should be interesting to see what happens in the future and if Wash must in fact return to the state he once was. In the end, I think this episode was really well done. I think the Krovos and Genkins thing was pretty standard. It moved the plot forward, but it didn't do anything specifically jaw-dropping in my opinion. Meanwhile, for the other parts of the episode, absolutely managed to stand out. Seeing the Tucker criticism addressed in a respecting, tasteful way that wasn't just a "fuck you for daring to critique my masterpiece of a script." It was nice, well done, and I think it exceeded what it needed to do by having him pass the metaphorical torch over to Donut. It was a good character moment for him. And of course, same goes for the Wash and Carolina bit. It was overall a really good episode for our heroes.